We're going to finish off the walls of the Gravely building, but it's a little bit different process than what they're doing back there. So let's get started with it right now. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And today we're going to assemble the walls of the Gravely building. And it's going to be a little bit easier than that right there. So let's get going with that. But before we do that, let's talk about this. If you would like more in-depth instructions of the Gravely building or any other project that I have on YouTube, go ahead and visit my Patreon page and become a patron, where you will receive additional videos with more in-depth instructions. Also, you can receive personal consultation with me. So go check it out. So let's get started with this right now. For this demonstration, we're going to be using the usual tools: the block, the squares, the ruler, the X-Acto blades, the file, the glues. And first thing we're going to do is test fit everything. And as you recall, I made some of these bracings on here a little bit long, so we're going to have to, the first thing we're going to have to do is cut these down. I have a number 18 chisel bit on a number 2 handle, and that's what I'm using on here to just knock these off. And you just put a little bit of pressure on it and come straight down, and that'll take them off. And then we could turn them over and just take a look at it, set it up on here to see if they'll fit in here flush, and that looks pretty good. Now, it took a while to test fit all the pieces, and instead of trying to show you about 20 minutes of trimming everything up, I just showing you the end results of it. But what you're going to have to do is, if you're making the floors and everything else, when you're putting in the notches and things, now I had it up against the block just to keep it sturdy, and I'll turn it around here a little bit, but it's not glued or anything, it's just held together. Now these supports right here, I'm going to have to trim those down just a little bit, because that's above the roof line. The roof line comes, the roof sits on this right here, and it fits in these 2 slots right here. So I have to cut these 2 columns right there. So I'm just going to have to cut that back. Okay, now you'll see on each one of these corners, I left those out, and I didn't show you those yet, but I think those are like 3/64 of an inch. Those are little squares that I'm going to paint white. We're going to break this down into a few subsections, like the second floor porch. Now, while I have this together right here, I make sure it fits in all the slots that it's supposed to fit into in the adjoining wall. Just like that. Okay, so everything fits. So we're good to go on that. All right. So all I have to do is just put the door in there right now. We're going to break this down into a subsection of the shed. Now this is what these little corner pieces are for, and these are going to fit right in the corner of the 2 pieces right there, and I'll show you when I assemble it how they fit. But that's what they'll look like right there. But that's what I'm working on right now. For the 2 pieces of shed, 2 sides of the shed, I have the little
square pieces right here. And I have the Aleene's glue for it. And I have two sides that I sanded down. I had all four sides were painted. But I want to get the sides that are sanded down and put the glue on that side. So, where's my little deal over here? Oh, that's a good one right there. So I'll just take another blade right here, and I'll just dab it on here. Okay. And I'm going to put it on so it's a little bit longer, because I'm going to trim it along the roof line. And I want it flush with the outside. So I'm holding it flat on the surface. So you see it's going to look like that on the outside. So that looks pretty good like that. And any excess glue we'll just wipe off right there. And just set that off to the side. And we'll do the same thing on this one right here. We'll let that dry, and then once we let that dry, we'll just put it up against there like that, and that'll be the corner, right, like that. And before we do, well, like that, but we'll trim it along the roof line right there. Okay, now that we have a bunch of window blinds, see, and we could make them different lengths, whatever length that we want. Glue these on the inside. We'll take some Aleene's glue, and I'll just measure this out and cut it off the top. I could probably use 2 of them. And just do it like that. And just take a dab of Aleene's glue. I'll just put some over here. And we'll put a little bit above the window. And maybe a little bit right on the side. And make sure I got the straight part right here. Okay. So, oops. Oh, I got more than one. There's 2 of them on there. Okay. And so, and we could put them at different heights. Move that one down just a little bit. I wonder if that skinny one will work right there. It sure will. Let's move this one here. Oh, Sadie, my goodness. I'll put some of this, and I'll make this one pretty much closed. See if I can get this down here like that. Maybe not. I won't go that far. Use that as a top. And just go down this far here. Okay, so, but you get the idea. That's how we do it, and I'm not going to go through all the windows with you. I got some Aleene's clear gel tacky glue for the glass here. Now this is the first time I'm using this, and I've used it over here on this side, and it seemed like it worked pretty good so far. Kind of traces it leaves once it dries, but so far so good. And so far, so good. And I do see a little bit seeping out through the edges here, but we'll see what that looks like once it dries. What is that? Scholl's Bunyan right in here instead of the for rent. So that's the storefront. All I have to do is fill in the glass up on the top now. Here's the final look at the storefront before we apply it to the building. Here is the second floor landing before we put the railing on. The square trim was painted a vintage white, and it will be placed at the corners of the building, and it'll look like this. The kit comes with 5/64 square stock, but I used 1/16 of an inch, which is a little bit closer to the thickness of the wall panels. This sticks out just a little bit, and I prefer to use these which are flush, and I'll show you what they look like here. See, they're flush with it. We painted the base to simulate a concrete slab and a sidewalk in the front. Let's put this thing together. The first thing I did was glue the center wall to the base, and then put this little stairwell cover in there, and then put the storefront in. I have it off camera, but I'm going to use the Aleene's clear gel tacky glue. Now I've been using it for the windows, and it seemed like it's doing pretty good, but I'm going to put a little bit of bead of it on here. Now I can't get everything in camera, but I'm just going to spread some on the bottom here. After, I'm going to sand a little bit right here just to get Now, even though I don't have the back end of it glued, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put rubber bands on here. Alright, I got my rubber bands on there up on the top part to hold the second and third floor front on, and the side, and also the floors. And then I got the clamp to hold the storefront to the side. And we'll let that sit for a while. We're ready to put the last piece on. I put the shed on the far wall, and I'm leaving the rubber bands on here just because I don't have the back wall glued on here. And the reason I don't have the back wall glued on is so I could pull it off so I could work on the interiors later on. I don't have anything to put in the interiors right now. Okay, so again, I'm going to glue this off camera, which is a little bit easier, and we'll just dab some glue on the bottom and a little bit on the front for the storefront. And normally I would put some back here for on the back wall. See, right here and on here for the back wall, but since I'm not gluing that in there right now, we're not going to do that. So we're just going to drop this in right here. All right, there we go. Here is the, I wouldn't say finished, but that's what we have. This is assembled. I'm just waiting for the glue to dry right now. This is as far as we're going today. In the next episode, we will finish this off and put the final details to it. We'll put the roofs on. We'll put the railings on here, and we'll put some details in the front and anything else that we would like to do with this kit. So, if you would like to see more of this or anything like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You know why? Because it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ding that bell. And you'll be notified whenever we have another video coming out. And we should have the last Gravely building video coming out shortly. and hopefully I'll have the resistors I need for the power supply. I ordered them a few days ago, and hopefully I'll get them sometime this coming week, and I'll be able to do the video on that, show you how to hook it up with the resistors in there so you have a stable voltage regulator with your power supply. And check out my webpage, tomstrainsandthings.com, and leave some comments down below. I like to read your comments, and we're going to have some more Q&As. So, and I got some turtles at the end of this. We saw some in our backyard the other morning when we was having breakfast. So take a look at that. I don't have any bloopers, so we got some turtles for you. So we'll see you.
There you go. All right. You're heading to the grass. And we got the other one. He just don't want to go anywhere.